do you think is happening in the market? Anything else you want to bring up?
I know locally we don't get a lot of new construction, but nationally builders are stepping up. They see an opportunity where existing homes aren't being listed and sold, so builders are jumping in and they're building new construction.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah,
that.
and I heard that they're building it at a lower cost and more of the entry level new construction homes.
Yeah, so definitely in parts of the country where real estate, like just raw land, is cheaper. Sadly, we live in a very populated area of New England, so there is no land. A lot of it was developed 50 years, 25 years ago, 75 years ago. So
but out west or Midwest?
Yeah, if you go out to Western Massachusetts, or if you go out to the Midwest proper, parts of Florida, parts of California, there are huge tracts of land that they can develop, and builders buy it up for pennies on the dollar, and now they're able to build the houses. The cost of building materials stabilized, and a lot of them went down. So they're doing new construction, and they're building it for an affordable number. I worked on a new construction build, I think it's 10 years ago, and they would list 20 new properties, and those 20 properties were gone in 2 weeks. The development I was just looking at with my clients up in Hampshire recently, up in Hudson, there's only 20 units there total. They rolled in, there was something available. There's no lack of inventory there, because that buyer pool is so small, they're not going quickly.
Right.
And it's a lot easier for them to purchase something that they lost out on. I want to say like 10 or 12 bids.
A lot of homes.
But they were the existing homes that needed work, and now they've rolled into new construction. The house needs nothing. They're comfortable, they're happy, and that's because the builders.
Yeah, and the price was really affordable.
Well, the further you get from the city,
compared to what they were looking at, it definitely was a lot more affordable than a lot of the homes that they put bids in on.
And the house they got is a lot more attractive than the houses they were putting bids on.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful home.
Yeah, so I mean that's definitely something that people should consider right now as new builds. I know that historically they've been the more expensive homes, but I think a lot of builders are trying to fill in that gap right now and build more affordable homes. Yeah, so it's not out of the question.
Like the one we have coming. So we just put a property. I have a builder that I work with, and she just purchased a lot, and it's because there's an opportunity for her to make money, she's purchasing this lot. This wouldn't be a lot that a builder would have jumped on 10 years ago.
Right.
It's a non-conforming small lot that she wants to put a larger home on. She had to get creative. She's had to find a way to submit a plan to the board that they'll approve. 10 years ago, she would have just found a 1 acre lot, built a giant McMansion on it, and no one could have said, boo. Now she's looking at a third of an acre or a half acre, and she has to make sure that the neighbors will like the house, and it'll be a conforming house on a non-conforming lot.
But a few years ago, I mean, you would have to go through approvals anyway, no? What do you mean, like nobody would have said boo a few years ago, and now you have to go through all of these approvals? You always have to go through approvals.
There were more options. Like the builders were not pressed to get something on the market as quickly as possible while the opportunity is there. They could sit and be patient and wait to find a 5 acre or a 10 acre lot, and then build 5 or 10 homes. The neighborhood she's looking to build in, it's a 1 acre minimum requirement to build. So if you want to build something, you have to have an acre to build. Well, there's an existing home on a 1/3 of an acre. You're allowed to renovate the home. So it's
the lot is grandfathered.
The lot is grandfathered in, and the fact that the house is on there is grandfathered in. But you can't just turn around and build a 6,000 square foot home where there is currently, an 1,800 square foot home. So now you're gonna have to get the approval from the town.
So speaking of new construction, it can be a pretty complicated process, right? To build a new home, there's a lot of approvals you need to seek and a lot of things you need to pay attention to. What are some of those things?
Depending where you are in the town, they'll determine the minimum size of the lot, how many feet you have to be off the street, how many feet you have to be from the building to the right, from the building to the left, how far you have to be from the back of the lot, how close you are to wetlands, how close you are to conservation land, how close you are to train tracks. Like there's different things that have different limitations. Power lines, you can only be so many feet from a power line, and what type of power line. So when you're doing new construction, when the builder's building something, they have to look at that lot and determine what they can build there. Another problem you're going to run into is if you're trying to renovate, you personally, let's say you own a home and you live in a historical district, and you want to renovate it so you can sell it, or renovate it so you can enjoy living in it. When it's a historical property, the historical society or historical board is going to give approval on everything you do that's visually noticed from the house.
That's visible.
So if I want to change the paint color, if I want to replace my windows,
Paint color on the outside,
you
not
can,
on the
you
inside,
can do whatever
right?
you want to the inside. You can
Even if it's a historical home?
So if it's on the National Historical Registry, you can't do anything. But if you're on a local historical registry,
You can't even fix issues with it?
So let's say I have a national home that's on the national.
Let's say the
historical.
plumbing is from the 1900s.
I have to put in 1900s plumbing.
Really?
I have to hire
Wow.
someone to come in, and to the best of our ability and the best we can do, we need to make it as close to historically accurate as possible.
But
So
can you use new fixtures?
I
Or
can
new toilets?
So I can put in a new toilet, but that toilet has to at least match what would have been the toilet of the day. So if you go back to the 1920s, where you've got these really old porcelain toilets where they got that pole that goes all the way up in the toilet seat, toilet bag,
Yeah,
you still need to do that. Like if that's what was
Wow.
there, you have to replace it with that.
So that's only if it's on the National Historic Registry.
Yeah. So that the house that George Washington was born in.
Okay.
You
Fair enough.
Not many houses are on that registry.
What is another level of the registry if it's not national?
So you're gonna get local historical districts. So here in our town we have Ballardvale as a historical district. So that whole neighborhood, if you want to do anything to your home, you have to get approval. So when somebody wants to paint their house
on the outside
on the outside,
just on the outside.
if you want to paint your house pink, it's not going to happen because there were no pink houses in the neighborhood. So they literally have a limited palette of colors you can pick from, or variations. You have to stay really
I don't
close
think
to it.
I've ever seen any pink houses.
There was one on Abbott Street.
San Francisco actually had a lot of very colorful
No,
homes.
when I was growing up in Andover, we had a pink house on Abbott Street.
Can a house be deemed historical but not be in a historic district?
You can have a single historical house.
Right. And the district itself
Correct.
is not historical.
So it might affect what you can do around it, but that specific house will be the historical house. There's one on 28 on Main Street, and everything around it is new construction or modern construction. This house isn't even that old, but it was a convenience store 120 years ago for like 10 minutes, and somebody important owned it or shopped there. So the house is now historical.
Just the house.
Just the house. Now, you can still tear that house down and build a new construction house there
Because it's not on the National Registry.
because it's not on the National Registry. But the town or the historical district will make you wait a year. So if I'm a
Okay.
builder and I want to tear down and build where a historical home is, I have to have the cash to purchase the property, sit on it for a year,
What's the reason for the waiting period?
for them to convince you to
Not do it?
not do it. So they're going to spend a year saying, you know what, if you leave the existing home there, we've raised, $100,000 grant to help you renovate the home. So they might try and do something where the builder is spending less money. That way they can fix it up. They can still turn a profit, and the town gets to keep the historical house. Usually what happens is no money's raised, nobody does anything. They make the builder wait a year, and then the house gets torn down.
It's a long time to be waiting around.
Yeah, so if you're paying $500,000 for a tear down that's sitting on a 1 acre or half acre lot, and you want to put in a new construction home there, you're tying up that money for a year. So if you're borrowing money from a bank to do it, you're paying interest on a property for a year. And you're making a mortgage payment every single month for a year. So usually when you see somebody doing it, they've got deep pockets. They're paying for it outright. It's cash. The money's just sitting there, and they know that they're not going to make any money on that investment for a year. So they need to make sure that when they do build and sell it, the profit on that date is going to be big. But it's a risk. Real estate markets shift.
Now, is the amount of time a year, or it can drag on as long as the town wants it to drag on?
It can only drag on a year.
A year, okay. So there is at least an end in sight. So I think we've been talking for a little while at this point. Do you want to end it there?
One of the things I really want to get into is next time maybe we could cover modular homes. We don't see a lot of them around here. Container homes, building a modern style home.
We've been addicted to a few shows on modular building.
I'm pretty sure we're going to buy a lot in the middle of nowhere at some point and build one of these
With a
little
modular home.
homes.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a pretty affordable option.
if done
We
right,
have to price it out still, but it sounds like it could be pretty affordable, and some of those homes look great.
gorgeous. They look
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous.
Depends on what company you go with.
It also depends where you're building it, but we'll get into that next time.
All right, that's it for our freeform video.
Yay!
We'll try to do a little bit more of that going forward.
All right.
All right,
Have a great day, everyone.
bye everybody.